Good morning, everyone. And can you believe it that we have made it to the end of the year, the end of 2019, going into 2020, another decade? I don't know about you, but when I was in primary school in about grade 2, we did this maths. Good morning, everyone. We did this maths exercise where we had to work out how far away it would be for the year 2000. And part of that was working out how old you would be in the year 2000. And I was going to be 30 and I couldn't believe it. And thanks, Fiona. I'm in my Christmas stuff. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Steph. And good morning, everyone else. Now it's 2020, going into 2020, and I'm 50. And imagine if I had to do that exercise, that maths exercise in grade 2, I would have freaked myself out because I wouldn't have even been able to imagine the notion of 50. Turning 50 has been a massive thing for me, and usually is for most people. Fortunately, I've come out of the other end pretty okay. So here we are, getting ready to do our festive stuff. And today I wanted to just kind of have a bit of a discussion about the Christmas or the holiday expectations and ways that we can cope with it a little bit more. And of course, the first thing that I can say to you is making sure, deliberate certainty, that you have time to create, carve that time out, because if that is something that soothes you, grounds you, and really helps you in everyday life, it's part of your general coping strategy, and you will be putting it in your toolkit as part of helping you increase your well-being and helping you feel calm and helping you have a time for yourself. It's an active meditation process, pouring is. So really do try and make that time for yourself. And I want you to seriously make that a priority. One of the things that happens at Christmas time is all of a sudden it becomes all about everyone else and all about family and friends and catching up with lots of people. And it's not the case for everyone, but for many people, the gatherings around Christmas can be quite stressful. And we're not going to go into the reasons why, because it doesn't really matter what your reason is for wanting to have a little bit of a refresher in your mind about how you can cope better at times like this. And this conversation can extend to any pressure that you feel for group gatherings or gatherings that have a level of, conditioning in regards to our participation and expectation. And, before I was just saying how we tend to put everyone first. Once again, I don't know if I've said this before to actually say once again, but I think it a lot to myself. I will use the analogy that unless you look after yourself, everyone I'm back. So without further ado, let's have a look at some of the things that you can deliberately do to help yourself cope more efficiently over this coming period of time, or any period of time where you feel overwhelmed or underwhelmed or depressed or lonely or anxious, or it just triggers off within you certain things, and we don't need to go into that. So I've got a list of 5 which turned into a list of 10, and many of these things aren't groundbreaking. You'll know many of these things, but the reason we're doing this today is because we often forget these things when we need to use them. So this is helping us have a point of reference to know how we can look after ourselves best. And the first thing I want to remind you to do is to stay grounded as much as you possibly can. And if you can stay grounded, you'll have a better chance to utilize the coping skills that you already have. You'll remember to use them, and you will feel more present rather than sort of dissociating from the event or withdrawing. Yeah, I saw it froze, Steph, but we're back now. So if you, as I was saying, if you're not grounded, your other coping skills aren't going to stick with you. And I'll go into a couple of things that you can do to stay grounded, but one other thing you can do is list your coping skills and put them in your pocket, so that if you find yourself feeling however it is that you feel and that you need to try and change that, you have your little list of things that you can do in your pocket so that you can remember them and action one of them that's relevant for the environment that you're in right then and there. So some ideas for you to keep grounded are to keep your phone and your ear plugs with you. And if you need to have 5 or 10 minutes time out, putting on some music and just going for a little walk somewhere and recalibrating yourself, having a mental break, but with some music. And we want it to be uplifting music if possible, no heavy lyrics, nothing that's going to actually help you sit and sink, something that's going to inspire you, but more importantly, something that can give you something to listen to that can break your internal narrative. And it's really, really helpful. You can say that you're taking a phone call. You can say that you're just taking a walk or a stretch. And if someone offers to come with you, it's really okay for you to say, no, it's all right. I'll just do this. Another thing you can do when you're feeling not so okay around you, pause and have a look around you and take note of the nice things around you, because people generally put a lot of effort into making their environment really nice. So just look around you and pay attention to the pretty things and see if that can just help shift your focus. Sip on some cold water and try and avoid alcohol. And we know that whilst alcohol or anything can really soften those feelings for a moment, they can also make things worse. So sipping on the cold water can just help jolt your body back into being within yourself. And it's okay to step away, like I was saying before, but, just go to the bathroom, wash your hands, wash your face, and just freshen up. And those actions can help you stay grounded. Take your shoes off, feel the feet on the ground. And that, just staying present, will help you enormously. Number 2, set your boundaries. And I found that people who tend to have challenging times during group events find it really difficult to set boundaries for themselves. I want to remind you that it is really okay for you to say no to anything. And it doesn't have to be a rude no. But no's not even rude, but for some reason we think it sounds rude to say no. But it is really okay to say no, and it's really even more okay to say no with no explanation. And other ways to say no rather than no are not right now, oh, I'd rather do this, or how about we do that at another point. If it's a conversation a person's going to try and initiate with you, let's talk about that at another time. Give yourself the space to be comfortable and don't do things you don't want to. You are able to say no. Whether you can do it with confidence is another thing, but the more you practice doing it in a gentle, assertive manner, the more easy it will become for you. And also, you'll also find that people's responses are not what you're fearing. Mostly people will respect your answer. It's really quite interesting. A lot of the stuff is sort of in our head. And I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying it's like the fear of actioning the saying no is bigger than the outcome of no. It's like going to the dentist. The build up to going to the dentist, if you have a dentist fear, is much worse than the actual dentist process. And good evening, Ziali, New York. So that was setting boundaries, and feel really okay to be able to set your boundaries and say no. Or even say yes. If somebody is asking the group something and they're not, and you don't normally get asked it and you want to do it, say yes. The next one is plan ahead. And whilst I know that we're very close to Christmas, I guess I'm talking about the gathering points of time, planning for them, planning what you're going to do just before them to look after yourself, what you're going to do during the occasion, and what you're going to do after the occasion, and helping yourself feel more in control in a situation that may be making you feel out of control. So when you're planning to go there, making sure that you've got everything that you need, plan to be there longer than what you really want to be so that you have got everything there and so you're mentally prepared. But also know you can leave whenever you want to. If it's in your house, feel that it's okay to say, I'm stepping out for half an hour. I need to go and make a call to someone. Give yourself the space that you need. Plan for these things within yourself. Practice saying them and practice imagining a good outcome with them. Oh, okay, I'm just going to go and wash my face. I don't know, just what do? I'm much better at it these days. So I generally say, I'm just going for a walk around the block for 10 minutes. I'd like to stretch my legs and have a little bit of quiet time, things like that. So yeah, that notion of planning your strategies for coping, like you know what your strategies for coping are, and if you don't, I want you to go and have a look up on the Google machine what some coping strategies are for your particular overwhelmed anxiety or depression. You will find a couple of strategies that you can implement straight away. I want you to also consider having a person either there or ready on the phone who's able to debrief with you. Now, it may not be realistic for them to, be there at the drop of the hat for you, but just to be able to touch base with them later on gives you a point of reference to know that you can hold whatever's bothering you in the mind until that time comes up. Then you can just vent it out and it can just sort of go out of you without it being built up and like a pressure cooker. And my last little tip there is imagine setting boundaries. And we've talked about the boundaries, but this is in your planning. I want you to really imagine setting those boundaries so that you can feel really comfortable to say, oh, no, I don't really feel like it. Oh, no, not today. Oh, I don't really want to talk about that right now. How about we talk about it at another time? And then even if you never want to talk about it, you can work it out later. But it's about being able to be in control and knowing that you're there for a light occasion. Okay, so that was planning ahead. And the next one is planning. It's tip number 4, planning your self-care. And again, that's about before, during, and after, making sure you have everything you need for beforehand. Do you need to have half an hour on your own to just really sort of help yourself prepare and get in the zone? During it, we've talked about having times that you can feel that you can leave or have a rest. And afterwards, what do you need for yourself after these events? What helps you move back into your own sense of space and your own sense of calm? Focus on those things and plan for them and have them set up ready to go the best you can. One of my things is having a bath. And I know that it sounds very simplistic, but at the end of the day, it's a whole lot of small things that make up a good self-care package. So for me, I've got some things even today. As you can see, I'm nicely dressed up and I still get anxiety going out. And, I'm going out with people I love, and I'm not going out with a huge amount of people, just 3. And I'm like, but, I've got my bath set up for when I come back. No, I haven't poured it, but I've got my salts there. I've got a candle there. I've got my speaker there ready to put my music on so that when I get back later on today, I can just run that bath, hop right in and get right into it. Do those type of things. That's what I mean by the planning. Number 5 is a big one. It's leave when you want to. You have got no obligation to wait until the Christmas pudding, to wait until the presents are done. The obligations are all unspoken and they're all made up based on other people's comfort. So this day is best for you and will be best for everyone if you do what is best for you. So when the time comes for you to leave. You can do it gracefully. Say thank you to everyone and off you go to your pre-planned post-Christmas self-care routine. Number 5, if loneliness is something you struggle with at Christmas, because those things I was talking about just then were all about the idea of gatherings and being around a lot of people, more about managing anxieties. If you struggle with loneliness, which couples up with depression often around this time of the year, it's really good for you to start planning things that you can do for yourself that you really enjoy. That includes pouring. Don't put it off just because it's Christmas Day, or you feel like you shouldn't be doing it because you do it every day. It's something you love doing. Do it. Colour in's a nice, soothing, peaceful activity. Jigsaw puzzles, if your brain's busy, do a jigsaw puzzle because it gives your brain something to focus on and problem solve. And, watch some movies, make a phone call if you want to. I'm not big on the phone. Throw a text out, that's good. But really try and think and list those things and put them somewhere where you can see them, because sometimes you don't realise that you're going down the rut until you're in the rut. And at that point, you can forget what it is that you do to help yourself. So these lists, written lists, are really, really helpful. Number 7, be kind to yourself. And what I'm talking about in specific is your self-talk. If you struggle with these kind of gatherings, please don't be giving yourself a hard time about it. You don't need to worry about why this is happening or give yourself a hard time, I'm still carrying on. Am I just being a drama queen? I'm an asshole of a person because I don't want to be around people. Stop it. You're allowed to be who you are. You're allowed to cope with how you are. You're allowed to, enjoy your life the best that you possibly can. And the expectations and waiting of certain times of the year can be really quite crippling. So be kind to yourself in your self-thought. You would never speak to anyone else like that, I doubt, unless they really deserved it. Number 8. So that was 7. Be kind to yourself. Number 8, realistic expectations. And what I really want everyone to do is to say, let's aim for just an okay time. And if it's great, that's great. But you know what? Having an okay time is really good too, because sometimes things can go disastrously. And that can also happen when we're hoping for like some kind of fabulous, exorbitant, bye, Ali. So I just really want us to not have massive expectations. And that's not just in regards to the outcome of the gathering. It's in regards to the food that we're going to consume, the presents, the money we spend. Let's all bring our expectations down and be real. A lot of people struggle financially around Christmas time. And if you're finding that you are feeling really, really crappy because you've got this expectation of gifts, stop it. Give somebody a gift of a morning tea. Give them a morning tea date on a card for in January and catch up with them one-on-one. It's the gift of time and it's the gift of sincerity. It's a beautiful gift. It doesn't cost anything. You can get more out of it yourself. So let's, bring those expectations down and go, hey, it's okay to just be okay. In fact, okay is great. Okay. And the next one, number 9, is acknowledge your feelings. Try not to push these feelings that are bothersome aside and rise above them. Know that they're there and coexist with them. If they're feeling problematic, just try and write them out a little bit. You don't need to make sense. You don't need to be writing sentences and paragraphs that are going to be published later. This is just about helping you know that you are at this point experiencing some emotions that are contradictory, confusing, and maybe challenging for you. And number 10 is don't abandon your healthy habits that you already have. If you find that things are difficult, don't throw the towel in for the day. Get back to the things that you know that really help you and just do them. And it might feel really difficult to force yourself through it at that point in time, but you will find that once you've actioned some of this stuff or things that you already know, you will feel better and you will cope better. And, you know, there's a lot of things that trigger people off during this time of the year. And you may have even apparently worked through them, you know, in your own way, but yet the time of the year still triggers you. That's called an anniversary effect. And it means that at the same time of the year where there have been problems, you can experience the emotional memory, and you may feel things that don't belong here in this time and place because they actually happened back there. But it doesn't mean that the emotions aren't real. You still went through whatever happened. I feel like I'm going to go into it deeply, but I don't need to. So, yes, Tracy says, plus, stay away from politics, religion, or past negative things that happened. Anything that people can have strong ideas or opinions on. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because these things are what bind and bond people, but at Christmas time, for some reason, they can fracture and cause disruption. That's a great one, Tracy, a really, really good one. The irony I find is that we're meant to be hanging out with people that we love and get along with and who should accept us for who we are, and yet so many contrary things need to be put in place for us to get through the day. It's a fabulous one. Oh, Praying Like Esther says, I look beautiful. I must look beautiful today. Everyone, look, I had a haircut. I'm going to turn around, all right, so you can see the back of my hair. It's really short. Do you like it? I like it. It feels nice and cool on my neck. All right. Well, good luck with Christmas, everyone. And for all of you who have got things that are more challenging, know that you can message me on Facebook if you just even want to just chat for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm usually all up for a chat. I have myself a very quiet Christmas. I get enormously triggered around this time of the year, and the more conversations I have with people, the more I realise that the triggering around Thanks, Sharon. The triggering around Christmas is probably more common than the straightforward Christmases. But yeah, the biggest one that I really want you all to do is just to be kind to yourself in your thinking. And, oh, by the way, I was going to talk about the psychology of colour today, but I figured the psychology of colour can wait till next year. And that's when we'll see each other next year. So I won't be doing a live next Saturday, but I might have a little presentation that'll come up or something. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you so much for just being ace, and have a great pouring time. Stay cool, stay refreshed, and, you know, let's look forward to an awesome new year. Hey, just one more thing. I've got a newsletter starting in 2020. You can look on my website and sign up to it there. And we're going to be doing a monthly art therapy thing, and it's going to just have some artist mindset nourishment to help you be stronger and push through things. And you will see the psychology of colour, Tracy. And yeah, let's just see how 2020 goes. It's going to be huge. All right, stay well.